It started before I even unloaded the moving truck. The cabin sat at the edge of the woods, a weathered old place I'd spent 2 years restoring in my mind before I ever had the keys in my hand. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Paid in full, cash, no mortgage, no HOA. I'd barely opened the tailgate when I heard it. "Excuse me! Excuse me!" A woman in a golf cart came speeding up the dirt path like she was chasing a fugitive. Her sunglasses were huge, her clipboard even bigger. "This is private property," she barked. "You can't just move in here." I straightened up, wiping the dust off my hands. "Ma'am, this cabin's on parcel 47B, outside your HOA's jurisdiction." She squinted, like I'd spoken another language. "Everything within 2 miles of our gate is part of the lakeside community. That includes this cabin." I laughed softly. "Not according to the county records." Her face turned red. "Don't play smart with me. We'll call the sheriff." I shrugged. "You do that." She drove off furiously, her tires spitting gravel behind her. I thought that was the end of it. Just another self-appointed neighborhood queen who didn't like new faces. But 10 minutes later, I heard sirens. 2 cruisers rolled up the hill, lights flashing. The deputies stepped out, hands resting casually on their belts. "Sir, we got a call about a trespasser on community property." I said, "Let me guess. Blonde, about 50, sunglasses the size of dinner plates?" They smiled faintly. "That'd be her." I pulled out my paperwork. Deed, tax record, survey map, all stamped and verified by the county. "This is my land," I said evenly. "Bought it fair and square last month." One of the deputies took a look and chuckled. "Yeah, she didn't mention that. Looks like your land starts right where hers ends." The other nodded. "She's been trying to claim anything within eyesight of her porch for years." As they walked back to their cars, Karen came tearing down the hill again, shouting, "Don't let him go! That's our land!" The deputy held up a hand. "Ma'am, this cabin isn't part of your HOA. You need to step off his property." Karen froze. For a second, I thought she'd back off. Instead, she pointed a shaking finger at me and screamed, "This isn't over! You'll regret this." I smiled calmly. "You've got no idea how long I've waited to hear that." As she stormed off, one of the deputies leaned in and muttered, "You might want to set up cameras. She's the type that comes back when no one's watching." I nodded. I already had. The cabin felt a little less peaceful that night, but a lot more interesting. By the next morning, Karen had already declared war. I found a bright orange "Notice of Violation" taped to my front door. No logo, no official stamp, just bold letters and a fake HOA signature at the bottom. "Unauthorized construction on restricted land," it read. "Cease all activity or face legal action." I laughed out loud. "Nice try," I muttered, peeling it off. But Karen wasn't done. When I drove into town for supplies, she was parked right at the end of the dirt road, blocking my way with her golf cart. She held her phone up like she was filming a police chase. "Caught you," she shouted, "admitting guilt on camera." I leaned out the window. "For what? Buying land?" "You don't belong here," she snapped. "That cabin is part of our community aesthetic. You can't just paint it whatever color you want." I said, "It's 3 miles outside your HOA line, Karen. Maybe focus on your own porch." She revved the little electric cart like it was a tank. "You think you can talk to me like that and stay here?" Before I could respond, a pickup truck rolled up behind her, my neighbor Mike, a retired construction foreman. He leaned out and called, "Karen, move your Barbie car. You're blocking the public road again." She spun around, eyes wide. "This is not a public road. It's community access." Mike grinned. "Funny. I built this road 20 years ago. County paid me for it. So unless you want to argue with the tax office, I'd move." Karen sputtered for a second, then turned the wheel sharply and sped off, muttering something about outsiders ruining the neighborhood. Mike pulled alongside me. "You'll get used to her. She once called the cops on a kid for flying a kite too close to her property line." I shook my head. "She seems persistent," he chuckled. "Persistent's one word. I'd say obsessed." That night, as I sat on the porch watching the trees sway, I heard something faint. The crunch of tires on gravel. I turned off the porch light and watched through the window. A dark SUV rolled up slowly, its headlights off. It stopped right near my fence. Then, click, a camera flash. Someone was taking pictures of my cabin. I stepped outside, voice firm. "Can I help you?" The SUV jerked forward and sped away into the woods. I checked my mailbox the next morning and found an envelope. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. "This land belongs to Lakeside HOA. Vacate immediately or face legal enforcement." No signature, no phone number, just a threat. I folded it slowly, looked out over my land, and said under my breath, "All right, Karen, you just made this personal." The following evening, I set up the security cameras, 4 motion sensors, 2 on the porch, 1 near the gate, and 1 hidden in the oak tree facing the road. If Karen wanted a fight, I was going to record every second of it. Around midnight, the alerts started going off. The screen lit up with movement near the fence line. I zoomed in, and sure enough, there she was, Karen herself, wearing a hoodie and carrying what looked like a measuring tape. She was measuring my land in the dark. I stepped quietly outside, boots crunching on the gravel. "Out for a midnight jog, Karen?" I called. She jumped, dropping the tape. "You're trespassing!" she yelled, spinning around like I was the one sneaking through someone's yard. I pointed at the ground. "This is my property line, remember? The one your HOA has no say over?" Her face twisted. "We'll see about that. You think that old deed protects you? We've got friends in county zoning." I laughed softly. "Good. Maybe they'll tell you what private ownership means." She stormed off again, but I could see the panic behind her anger. The cameras had caught everything, every step, every word. The next morning, I went down to the sheriff's office with the footage. Deputy Alvarez watched the clip twice before whistling low. "She's really losing it, huh?" "Broke onto my land in the middle of the night," I said. "That's trespassing." He nodded. "Yeah, and those fake HOA notices? That's harassment. You want to press charges?" I hesitated. "Not yet. I just want her to stop." He leaned back. "You're too nice, but fine, let's file a report and keep it on record. That way, if she crosses the line again, we'll be ready." I agreed. But something told me Karen wasn't the type to stop when warned. And I was right. That afternoon, as I was fixing the porch rail, she came barreling down the dirt road again, this time with another woman riding shotgun, clipboard, pen, sunglasses. She jumped out yelling, "This is an inspection. We've had multiple complaints." I blinked. "From who? The squirrels?" "This property violates HOA landscaping codes. You'll need to remove those trees near the fence immediately." "Those trees were here before your HOA even existed," I said, holding up my phone. "And before you try anything else, just know you're both on camera again." The second woman froze. "Camera?" I turned the screen toward them. Live feed, red recording light blinking. Karen went pale. "You can't record us. That's illegal." I said, "Not on my land, but trespassing on private property, that's illegal." They both backed out toward their car, sputtering threats and legal nonsense before speeding off in a cloud of dust. By the time the sun set, my inbox was full of HOA emails, fake fines, fake warnings, even one that said final eviction notice. That's when I decided enough was enough. I wasn't just going to defend myself, I was going to expose the entire scam. The next morning, I drove into town and straight to the county records office. The clerk, an older guy named Jeff, looked up from his coffee as I dropped a stack of fake HOA notices on his desk. He sighed. "Let me guess, Karen again?" I raised an eyebrow. "You know her?" "Know her? She's been in here every month trying to redraw the HOA boundary lines. Last week, she even brought crayons." I couldn't help but laugh. "Well, she's claiming Lake Cabin's part of her jurisdiction." Jeff flipped through the papers, shaking his head. "Yeah, these are all bogus. Look here. Lakeside HOA was dissolved 5 years ago. No authority, no charter, nothing. It's not even a legal entity anymore." I smiled. "Perfect. I just needed you to say that on camera." He chuckled, then leaned into the lens of my phone. "For the record,
This man's cabin is not part of any HOA. Anyone claiming otherwise is lying. I thanked him, uploaded the clip to my security drive, and headed back home. But before I could even park, I saw a familiar sight: Karen's car sitting right in front of my gate again. She was pacing back and forth, phone to her ear, shouting, "Yes, he's here right now. He's refusing community orders. Send someone now." I rolled down the window. "You really love trespassing, huh?" She turned, eyes wild. "You think you're clever? I've got people coming who'll handle this the right way." Just then, a white SUV pulled up, emblazoned with the words, "Community Enforcement Unit." Two men in black shirts stepped out wearing what looked suspiciously like badges. "Sir, we need you to vacate this area while we verify ownership." I crossed my arms. "You're not law enforcement. Show me your credentials." He hesitated. "We represent the Lakeside Homeowners Association." "Funny, because I just came from the county office. That HOA doesn't exist." The second man shifted uncomfortably. "We're just doing our job." "Then your job's about to get you arrested." I pulled out my phone and called the sheriff's department. Within 10 minutes, 2 real deputies pulled up. The fake enforcers froze, realizing they were caught. Deputy Alvarez stepped out, looked them over, and smirked. "Badges from Amazon again?" Karen gasped. "They're authorized security." "No, ma'am. They're impersonating officers. You just made it worse for yourself." The deputies cuffed both men right there as Karen screamed, "You can't do this! I own this neighborhood!" Alvarez looked at her calmly. "Not anymore. You're under arrest for harassment, trespassing, and false reporting." Her voice cracked as they led her toward the cruiser. "He's lying! That land is mine!" I held up my phone, showing her the video from the county clerk. "Still want to argue?" She went quiet. For the first time since I met her, she had nothing left to say. But I wasn't done. I still had one more move to make, one that would make sure no fake HOA ever tried this again. Fake HOA queen arrested for impersonating officers. Veteran homeowner outsmarts local scam. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Reporters, neighbors, even total strangers were reaching out, sharing their own horror stories of bogus HOA bullies and fake enforcers. I never wanted attention, but this time it felt like something good was finally coming out of all that chaos. I met Deputy Alvarez outside the sheriff's office that morning. He was smiling. "Thought you'd want to know," he said, handing me a folder. "Karen and her security team are facing real charges: fraud, harassment, impersonation. The DA is going for a full sentence." I flipped through the papers. "She's actually going to jail?" "Looks that way," he said, "and your footage helped big time. Turns out she's been targeting new landowners for years, trying to scare them into paying fake dues. You're the first one who stood your ground." I exhaled, feeling the weight finally lift off my shoulders. "Guess that's over then." He nodded, then grinned. "Oh, and one more thing. County's issuing a public statement confirming your land has no HOA jurisdiction. You're officially free of Karen's kingdom." That night, I sat on the porch with a cold drink, watching the sunset fade behind the trees. The cabin glowed warm under the lights, peaceful, quiet, finally, mine. As the crickets hummed and the air cooled, my phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. "You made the right stand. Folks like her only win when good people stay silent." No name, no number. Just those words. I smiled, slid the phone into my pocket, and whispered, "Not anymore." Then I leaned back, listening to the wind through the pines. No more sirens, no more fake fines, no more Karen in sight. Just freedom. Because in the end, all I wanted was to live in peace, and all she wanted was control. She lost.